Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Sonya Kuhnel. I'm the co-founder of Bitcoin Events and Blockchain Academy, and we're based in Cape Town in South Africa. I'm really honored to be part of this panel with my fellow Africans. I think I've spoken to some of you on email and I've never personally met you, so it's a real honor to see you in person. So very interestingly, we've got three panelists from Nigeria, one from Kenya and myself from South Africa. And I think this is a pretty fair representation of the countries with some of the most crypto activity in Africa. So to get started, I know we've only got 25 minutes for the panel, so I won't waste too much time. Our panel today is Crypto in Africa, Mobilizing the Unbanked. And obviously, this is a very important topic, and it's a topic that we often discuss, being in the crypto community in Africa. So what we're going to be talking about is what is the real potential for financial inclusion in Africa and how can it be achieved? What are the use cases for crypto payments in Africa? And what are the current barriers to mass crypto adoption in Africa? So I'd like to do a quick introduction to everyone on the panel. Yele Bademosi, he's the founder and CEO of Bundle. Munachi Ogueke, Chief Business Officer of Yellow Card. Eugene Mutai, he's the CTO and co-founder of Raise, and Chimezie is the founder and coordinator of the Blockchain Nigeria user group. I hope I pronounced your names correctly. I really practiced that before this panel.
Cool.
Okay, so just to set the scene a little bit before we get going and I start asking questions, I think we're all aware that the World Bank has announced that there's 1.7 billion people that's unbanked, adult population that is, across the world. That's about 38% of the adult population. And 60% of those live in Africa. So this is obviously a significant portion of the population in Africa. So to get started, Yele, I'd like to start with you on the next question. What is the real potential for financial inclusion in Africa and how can it be achieved?
Okay. I think, I would touch on the stat you gave earlier, which is that in Africa, we have about 60% unbanked. And one of the reasons why that is the case is that it doesn't necessarily serve the financial institutions to serve the unbanked population. Either that's because the amount of money they can hold is too low, and to use the existing financial systems, the cost of doing these transactions are very high. And I think that's kind of like where blockchain technology sort of shines. That is, it makes doing digital transactions almost free or very, very cheap. However, something that I would like to sort of bring up or address very early in this conversation is that we know that for a lot of people that don't have bank accounts, they have cash. And so because blockchain and crypto is primarily a digital technology, you have to start thinking about how do you connect sort of like the cash economy to the crypto economy, right? And that to me would probably look like, agent banking. But I think it's really interesting to see people, the ease at which you can create, a blockchain wallet that supports a stable coin compared to you trying to open up a bank account. But, creating that bridge between sort of like cash and crypto is going to be very huge and important in sort of banking the unbanked.
Right, thank you for that. And Chimezie, if you could add to that, please.
Okay, thank you, Sonya. I want to, first of all, let us know that there are the formal financial inclusion and the informal. So in the light of the overall, you also consider the fact that currently crypto is serving a lot of the informal sector of the unbanked, okay? Because in this sector, you have the unregistered businesses, you have untaxed businesses, unregulated markets. So crypto is doing very well in terms of banking such people, because these unregistered people are not able to access financial services that ordinarily would have been available to regulated, taxed, and businesses. So you see crypto playing a very good role in grassroots banking, grassroots level of banked. Okay, so it's a critical role that it's playing there. Recently, I made a tweet and I was talking about people who have been involved in the crypto space, because currently their impact is much bigger than World Bank, much bigger than IMF and Africa Development Bank in terms of reaching the root of the really poor of the poor among Africans. Because crypto has the capacity to not just empower people and give them access to other financial services like we are seeing crypto doing in DeFi. Okay, now holding crypto gives you access to possibilities of accessing loan using your crypto as a collateral backing. Okay, now using crypto also enables you to have some kind of credits that will enable you to access even better loans and better conditions. And these are things that could have been almost impossible for unregulated, unregistered, and those group of people that are not typically taxed among the populace. So in that light, I believe strongly that crypto is playing a crucial role to lift the real poor of the poor out of poverty across Africa.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. So Eugene, I know you're based in Kenya, and I wanted to know your thoughts on, mobile money has really taken off in Kenya, and it's sort of leapfrogged across the traditional banking infrastructure, and it's been very successful. So how do you foresee cryptocurrencies, for example, taking off in Kenya? I know it is already taking off in terms of similarities with mobile payments.
I mean, that the great thing is it's already happened here, kind of. I like to think about money, how I've thought about M-Pesa, because I've grown up with M-Pesa personally. So I like to think that Kenya decided to stay unbanked instead of becoming banked. So in that context, it means that we finally know that you don't have to be banked to actually have financial management accessible to you. So one of the things that fascinated me personally as a human being is that I was able to access crypto with just my mobile phone. Same thing I do with M-Pesa. And so if you can actually bridge crypto directly to the people rather than going through banks of like regulated financial systems, it even becomes much better. It means that you finally gain access to all these financial opportunities without like using a bank and so forth. And since Kenya has done it first of all before, why not repeat it? Like, why not do it again? But it just in this case using crypto, right? And from that perspective, I mean, like, if you're going to make crypto adapted, I think the rest of the world, especially Africa, needs to adapt M-Pesa, or basically the M-Pesa strategy or move for basically. Like, instead of me looking for financial opportunities and access, bring the financial access and opportunities to me in my mobile phone. And I think also like Yele is actually here. They're doing amazing things in Nigeria because Bundle basically brings access to crypto opportunities and even stable coins to your mobile phone directly instead of you actually having to go out there and seek for it. And I think that's the most like powerful thing that's actually happening in Africa right now. Of course, regulation has to bend a bit over time eventually, so we can actually have a lot more things actually going on in the future. But that's a topic for the next question, probably last week or another day.
Sure, and maybe just to add to that, Eugene, the mobile penetration in Africa is massive. And the population of Africa, it was mentioned on the previous panel, is very young. So, they are tech savvy, they do have mobile phones. I know in Africa, certainly in South Africa, electricity is a problem here. So, which means, access to internet is also a problem sometimes.
It's not just about electricity, it's just that since the invention of M-Pesa, no one anymore fathoms the idea of actually going to a bank account to create a bank account when you can actually use M-Pesa to access your money or even save your money using M-Pesa just directly from your mobile phone. You go to your nearest agent, which is probably like 200 meters away from your home. You open an account from your mobile phone, and the next minute you can put as much money as $1,000 into your phone. And like most people in Africa do not have as much as $1,000 to put in your phone. It means that M-Pesa is accessible to everybody. If M-Pesa is an African-wide product, I guarantee you that everybody could have actually like adopted it. I mean, like regulation in different countries create a barrier for this actually, or also cultures create a different barrier for this. But in Africa, like in a place where majority of the population has under $1,000 a month to actually manage their money, and you bring like a financial platform to them rather than them going forth. Because for example, I do not fathom the idea that I need to deposit $200, no, like $2. I need to deposit $2, and I have to use $1 as transportation to go to an entire city to actually put my money into there. That does not make sense at all. Like, bring the financial platform to me, and I can walk 200 meters away and put my money in a safe place. That makes a lot more sense.
Right. Okay, so I see Munachi. Munachi, are you there? I don't see you. Let me know when he's back on, and then I'll ask him the next question, but we'll just move on. So I know you're all aware that cryptocurrencies is obviously becoming very popular in most of the African countries. You know, there was a recent report done by a company called Arcane Research that found Uganda, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, and Kenya are among the top 10 countries by Google search for the word Bitcoin. So we represent three of those countries. So it also mentions in the report that Africa is one of the most prominent regions for adoption of cryptocurrencies. This is obviously very exciting for us. Would you agree with this? And, you know, what would you say are the most important use cases for crypto? Munachi, I see you there. Okay. Munachi, did you hear the question? Munachi, maybe just unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Hi, nice to meet you, Munachi. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Good. Did you hear the question?
I didn't get the question.
Okay. So I'm going to cut it short, and I'm just going to summarize that there are a lot of countries in Africa where the adoption of cryptocurrencies is very popular, namely Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and Uganda. Would you agree that this is the case? And what would you say, if so, what are the most important use cases for crypto in Africa?
All right, thank you. That's a very good question. So I think one of the big things that we have seen crypto do for people in Africa is financial empowerment. Most people think it's remittances. Most people think it's ability to trade, but 60% of the African population is unemployed, and most of these are youths. So what we are seeing many people do with Bitcoin is see them buying Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin on exchanges to generate value for themselves and create an income. And for me, that's been the biggest driver of crypto in Africa, and especially in countries like Nigeria, where almost 23% of the population is unemployed, and most of them and about 60% of the population of Nigeria are youths. We see a lot of young people going into crypto, you know, to generate value for themselves and for their family. Also, there's also use cases for remittances and trade. Lots of people that are importing goods into Nigeria now are very comfortable with paying their Chinese customers with Bitcoin, and this is Bitcoin and stable coins, and this is something that has been huge for the better part of this year because of the issues with COVID and other unfavorable things going on with the financial markets. So for me, I would say employment and willingness to trade with other countries and the ease of trade that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies bring has been the huge driver, especially in these African countries.
Thank you, Munachi. So I know we've only got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to have to keep the questions and the answers short. Yele, back to you. I just want to know what you think is the current barriers to mass crypto adoption in Africa, and how could we potentially remove them if we could do that in a minute.
But I'll keep it short. I think if you asked me this question before founding Bundle, I would have said it's about creating a very simple user experience. Any of the users who download Bundle, I think in the last sort of 2 months, we're getting about 2,000 to 3,000 people signing up every week on Bundle. And we get the same comment, this is great UI, it's very easy to use, refer it to my bank. But then the next question is, what is BNB? What is Ethereum? What is BUSD? What is Bitcoin? How do I use Bitcoin? And so all of a sudden, I'm realizing that actually education is as important as usability and the user interface. So over the next couple of months, what I'm actually trying to do is to find content creators to help us create content, also working with the Binance Academy, because they have a huge pool of resources and people like BNUG to create content to educate sort of like these 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000 people that are joining Bundle on a weekly basis. So that's sort of like what I think is the biggest barrier to adoption at the moment.
Thank you. Chimezie, I want to ask you, do you think the lack of crypto regulation in Africa is a barrier for the adoption?
Okay, primarily the barrier that cuts across both products and services that are managed in the industry has to do with the lack of a unified approach to regulation and policies, because these are fundamental. There's really not going to be much of adoption if we don't find a way to unify regulatory approaches around crypto across different countries. So a lot of work have been put in place and a lot of work are going on across different jurisdictions in order to streamline this. And I'm anticipating that but once this is straightened out, there's going to be a huge inflow of new users into the ecosystem. Secondly, we have to also look at the fact that at this early stage, crypto still needs traditional banks and traditional financial systems, because it's still not possible for crypto to function without banks. So we need to figure out a way to look at, streamlining the relationship between crypto companies and traditional banking institutions. Because the moment that is done, then you'll see that it becomes a little bit more easy for people to exit and enter into the crypto space. Currently, a lot of people who are trading on different platforms have limits to the amount of money they can either take out or take in. And those are basically because of the challenges that they have around banking institutions. Then thirdly, I also wanted to talk about things that has to do with having official recognition of cryptocurrencies as legitimate tools and financial asset class among different African countries. The much that different regulatory agencies and policymakers have done is to issue warnings against Bitcoin and trading in Bitcoin. Now, if the day comes and we have a formal recognition and governments, policymakers recognize that, oh, look, cryptocurrencies have come to stay and they are actually a recognized form of digital asset, then it will create another opportunity for people who previously could think that maybe Bitcoin is a scam, or if you talk about crypto, they'll think it's a get-rich-quick scheme. Okay, so these are some of those simple things that we need to take a look at a closer level. Of course, we have the rise of stable coins and the rise of the expectation that we're going to be having central bank issued digital currencies. This also needs to be clarified, and we need to have the government agencies that are relevant take a stand that will be very, very clear that truly these are the types of technologies that have come to stay today. Okay, so let me just type that so I can give some other people opportunity to speak.
Sure, thank you, Chimezie. So Eugene, I wanted to ask you, and we have to talk really quickly, so if you could say this in 2 sentences. DeFi, decentralized finance. Do you think, Chimezie alluded to the banks, we still need the banks to enable crypto adoption in Africa. Do you think with DeFi that could change that? And are you seeing any growth in Kenya in the DeFi space?
So I'll really put it short. I don't think we need banks. We need people like Yele and like just basically somebody like me to create products that challenge regulation, and the regulation has to come to us, or we have to come together and bridge and find a way for people to actually benefit between that. Like Africans do not work with regulations first. Africa is a place you take the risks, build the product, and then now work with the government to make them work together.
Okay, and Eugene, I've got to interrupt you. I've been told to cut it very short, and I have to still include Munachi, so I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wish this was longer. Just like to ask you for your final.
Fair enough.
Do you have some final thoughts on that? On DeFi?
Yeah, I feel like
we've actually run out of time. We're going to have to move on. I'm so sorry, but your thoughts were also important and so valuable. Chuta, I especially love your Binance shirts. Great to see you in the Binance shirts.
Yeah, in solidarity, yeah.
Yes, and I think you all made very valuable points about all of us working together, whether it's traditional banks and crypto regulation and those of us in the crypto space, because for us to increase adoption of crypto in Africa, there has to be a coming together. And I think Chuta made some really valuable points, and Eugene as well. Omar,